Why does your dog know a command but suddenly forgets it the moment it matters? Why does your dog listen perfectly at home but becomes deaf the second you step outside? And why are you told over and over again? Well, some dogs are just stubborn. Now, let me ask you something a little dangerous. What if your dog isn't stubborn at all? What if your dog has been trained perfectly to ignore you? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. No obedience class will ever admit. Dogs don't fail training. Training fails the dog's brain. And it fails in the first 5 seconds. Not months, not years. 5 seconds. If you've ever spent money on classes, tools, treats, or so-called advanced methods, only to end up frustrated, embarrassed, or even blamed for your dog's behavior. This video will flip everything you think you know. Before we go any further, let's do a quick check-in. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I love seeing where everyone is from. And if you want the unfiltered truth about dog behavior, not the version designed to sell you expensive 12-week programs, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because once you see what I'm about to show you, you can't unsee it. For thousands of years, dogs didn't attend training classes. They didn't have a certified professional telling them to sit or stay. They learned by something far more powerful: timing. Early dogs survived by syncing their behavior to human movement and intention. It was a simple, brutal, and effective system. When humans stopped moving, the dogs stopped moving. When humans shared food, the dogs learned to stay close. When humans rejected them, the dogs adapted fast, or they didn't make it. There was no repetition, no leash pops, no clickers, no treats handed out every 30 seconds. Just consequence. Immediate, crystal clear consequence. Does any of this sound familiar? It should, because it's how the world works. Now, fast forward to our modern world. Our dogs now live in loud homes, filled with constant distractions. They navigate artificial schedules that make no sense to their internal clocks. And instead of pure, immediate timing, we introduced something fatal to learning: delay. Think about it. We say the word sit. The dog, after a moment, sits. We then reach into our treat pouch, fumble around for a piece of kibble, and finally deliver the reward. We praise them, we smile. Maybe 3, 4, even 5 seconds pass between the action and the reward. Sound familiar? To human brain, this sequence makes perfect sense. We understand the connection. But to a dog's brain, that reward just reinforced whatever the dog was doing in the final second before it got the food. Was it scratching its ear? Was it looking away at a bird outside the window? Was it already thinking about getting up? You didn't reward the sit. You rewarded the distraction. Sound familiar? This tiny, overlooked gap in time is the root cause of so many common frustrations. This is why your dog only listens when food is visible, because the sight of the food becomes the real cue, not your voice. This is why commands completely decay the moment you leave the quiet of your living room. The distractions outside offer faster, more interesting consequences than your delayed treat. And this is why older dogs seem so set in their ways. It's not age. It's thousands of repetitions of their brain learning that your cues are irrelevant background noise. Sound familiar? The entire dog training industry scaled up. But in the process, the most critical element, timing, completely collapsed. Let's look at the history. By the 1970s, group obedience classes became a booming industry. By the 1990s, trainer certifications and competing methodologies exploded. Everyone had a system. By the 2000s, what happened? Behavioral problems in dogs skyrocketed. We saw a massive increase in anxiety, reactivity, and aggression. And what was the industry's proposed solution? More. More sessions, more expensive tools, more complex methods. And ultimately, more blame placed on the owner or the dog. You're not being a strong enough leader. Your dog has a dominant personality. The one thing that was rarely explored, if ever addressed, was the fundamental flaw in the timing of the training itself. Now, here is the twist that nobody in the mainstream industry expects or wants you to know. The most effective dog trainers on earth don't train more, they train less. I'm talking about the people whose lives or the lives of others depend on their dog's reliability. Street trainers working with shelter dogs on the brink. Handlers of high-drive working canines. Protection units. Their secret isn't a special collar, a magic word, or an endless supply of high-value treats. Their secret is timing. They operate within a razor-thin window of opportunity. They mark and reward the desired behavior inside a half-second. Not with just praise, not with endless repetition. With precise, lightning-fast timing. You miss that window, the dog's brain connects the reward to the wrong thing. It locks the behavior in incorrectly. And once that happens, you're not just failing to teach the right thing. You are actively and effectively teaching the wrong thing. And here's the really disturbing part. Most popular mainstream training systems, the ones you see advertised everywhere, unknowingly destroy this critical learning window. Why? It's a business reality. Precise timing is a skill. It's hard to teach in a group class of 12. Can't be packaged into a neat one-size-fits-all curriculum. And frankly, it makes those expensive 10-week courses feel a bit unnecessary, doesn't it? If the core of learning happens in a split second, what are you doing for the other 9 weeks and 6 days? This isn't just my opinion. There's science to back this up. A neurological study I came across was absolutely fascinating. It proved that dogs form behavioral associations in under 0.7 seconds. Less than 1 second. That's the window. And the study showed that when reinforcement, whether it's a treat, a toy, or praise, lands late, the dog's brain doesn't just miss the connection. It actively tags the human signal as irrelevant. White noise. So every time you ask your dog to do something and the consequence is delayed, you are training your dog's brain, cell by cell, that your words don't predict outcomes. You become neurologically unimportant. Think about what this means. It means the problem isn't your dog. Not that he's stubborn, dominant, or dumb. The problem is that he has learned with incredible precision that listening to you is not the most efficient way to get what he wants. The training methods themselves have taught him to tune you out. So what can you do? The first step is to stop blaming the dog and start observing the clock. Forget long training sessions. Think in moments. The moment your dog offers a good choice, even a tiny one, that's your chance. The goal is to close the gap between the action and the consequence. Make your feedback immediate. This changes everything. Instead of a 30-minute training session, your entire walk becomes a series of split-second learning opportunities. Your dog looks at you instead of pulling toward another dog? Mark and reward that instant. Your dog hesitates at the door instead of bolting through. Mark and reward that instant. You have to become a master of the moment. This is how you reclaim your dog's attention. You're not just giving a command. You are communicating in real time, using the language of consequence that your dog's brain was built to understand. You become relevant again? This is a huge topic, and we've really just scratched the surface today. If this idea of timing and brain-based training resonates with you, let me know in the comments. Maybe we can do a follow-up video showing exactly how to sharpen your timing. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more truths about dog behavior. I'll see you in the next one. Let's do a quick recap of what we covered last time. Your dog isn't stubborn and real. Lasting training doesn't take months. It happens in seconds. The single most important factor isn't endless repetition, it's timing. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and expose the exact mechanism that can change your dog's behavior in minutes, not months. This applies even to senior dogs you've been told are too old to learn. It's time to break the illusion that has been holding you and your dog back. Let's start with something called the dopamine window. Now, you've probably heard of dopamine, and most people think it's the pleasure molecule. That's a common misconception. In reality, dopamine is all about prediction. It's the brain's way of saying, pay attention, something important is about to happen. In your dog's brain, dopamine spikes when a specific behavior immediately predicts a consequence. That connection is everything. So, how immediate is immediate? The window for this connection to form is incredibly small, just 0.3 to 0.8 seconds, a literal fraction of a second. If you miss that window, the dog's brain has already moved on. The link is broken. Scientific studies have shown that delaying a reward or reinforcement reduces learning efficiency by a staggering 70%. 70%. Yet, what do most owners do? We see our dog do something good, we reach into our pocket, fumble for a treat, and finally give it to them 2, 3, maybe even 5 seconds later. That isn't training to your dog's brain. That's just random, confusing noise. The connection between their action and your reward is completely lost. This brings us to the age-old myth. You coup on teach, an old dog new tricks. It's one of the most persistent and damaging ideas in the dog world. But age is not the problem. A history of bad timing is. Think about it. After years and years of receiving mistimed rewards, what has your dog's brain actually learned? It's learned that humans are unpredictable. Their actions, good or bad, don't seem to have any consistent immediate consequences. So what happens? The dog stops trying. They disengage. Why bother offering a behavior if the feedback is always late and confusing? But here's the beautiful part. When you fix the timing, everything changes. We've seen 15-year-old dogs who have been labeled untrainable their whole lives suddenly re-engage and start learning within minutes. This isn't just some feel-good theory. Look at professional working dogs in fields like law enforcement or search and rescue. These dogs are often successfully retrained for new roles at 12, 13, even 14 years old. How? Their handlers use precise timing resets. They go back to basics and re-establish that critical 0.3-second connection. The dog's brain wakes up and says, "Oh, I get it now. My actions matter again." It's a powerful transformation to witness. Now, let's talk about money. The global dog training industry is a behemoth, valued at over $40 billion. Add in the market for behavioral correction tools, things like special collars, harnesses, and other gadgets, and you're looking at another $8 billion plus. It's a massive, profitable industry. But let's look at the results. Since 2005, diagnoses of reactive behavior in dogs have shot up by 300%. The number of prescriptions for anxiety medications for dogs has increased by 400%. And what's the common refrain from trainers and experts? The owner is being inconsistent. You're blamed for not practicing enough, for not being a strong enough pack leader. But what if it's not about your consistency? What if it's about physics? The neurological physics of your dog's brain. The industry has sold us a complex system of commands, classes, and tools, when the root of the problem is often a simple, misunderstood timing error. It's much more profitable to sell you a 6-week course and a fancy collar than it is to teach you a fundamental principle that you can master in an afternoon. This timing issue is also why so many commands fall apart the second you step outside. You've probably experienced this. Your dog sits, stays, and comes perfectly in the living room. But the moment you're at the park, it's like they've gone deaf. We blame distractions, the other dogs, the squirrels, the interesting smells. But distraction isn't the real enemy. Delayed feedback is. The outdoor world is a much faster, more stimulating environment. Things are happening constantly. Your dog sees a bird, smells another dog's scent, hears a car backfire, all within seconds. This rapid change of stimuli makes your timing even worse. By the time you react to their behavior, their brain has already processed 10 other things. So when you give a command and they don't respond, it's not because they're being disobedient. It's because their brain never even logged the command in the first place. The signal was lost in the noise of delayed feedback. What this creates is a vicious parasitic loop. It starts with a mistimed reward. Your dog doesn't understand what you want, so they get confused. You get frustrated, so you escalate. Maybe you buy a new training tool or you get stricter with your commands. This creates even more confusion and anxiety for the dog. They become more dependent on the tools and less confident in their own ability to understand you. This leads to a lifetime of obedience failure, where you are constantly managing, correcting, and controlling your dog instead of communicating with them. This cycle is engineered, it's profitable, and it has become completely normalized. We're told this is just how it is. It's a betrayal disguised as help. We're sold products and services that promise to fix our dogs, but many of them are built on a flawed foundation that ignores the most basic principle of how their brains learn. And here's a critical warning for all of us. Modern life makes our timing worse. We are constantly distracted. Our phones are always buzzing. We're fumbling with leashes, treat bags, and poop bags. Every single one of these delays, no matter how small, sends a message to your dog. Not an emotional message, but a neurological one. That message is, you don't matter right now. Your actions don't have immediate consequences, so they aren't important.